The Stroke of Genius podcast, hosted by brain aneurysm and stroke survivor Aaron Avila, sharing the experiences of survivors and CEOs. This is your destination for inspiration.
Welcome to Stroke of Genius podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Avila. In today's show, I got a real special guest, Maggie Whittam.
Maggie Whitnam is a filmmaker, actor, producer, writer, public speaker, disability advocate, and stroke survivor. She speaks at conferences, universities, and hospitals about her story of illness and identity. Maggie is creating The Great Now What, a documentary film about her experience with stroke, disability, loss, and reliance. Maggie Whitnam is reemerging into life as an artist after having survived a massive brainstem stroke in 2014 at age 33. She performs with Phamaly Theatre Company in Denver, Colorado, which exclusively casts actors with disabilities. Previous theater directing and producing credits include All in the Timing, The Zoo Story, Into the Woods, and the 25th Annual Putnam County Spelling Bee. Maggie has directed and performed in Scotland, Colorado, South Korea, Taiwan, Hong Kong, Beijing, and throughout Canada. In 2006, she wrote, directed, and produced Love the Radio Edit, an original one-act comedy, to a nearly sold-out run at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. In 2007, she founded the improv comedy troupe Seoul City Improv in Seoul, South Korea. Maggie also assisted directed under Tony Award winner Rebecca Taichman and Peabody winner Emily Mann at McCarter Theatre in Princeton, New Jersey. Commercial acting credits include MapQuest, Samsung, Starz, and Encore. Maggie speaks at conferences, universities, hospitals, and medical schools about her story of illness and identity. She has spoken at the Johns Hopkins School of Medicine, Georgetown Hospital, and Craig Hospital, among others. Maggie is creating The Great Now What, a documentary film about her experience with stroke, disability, loss, and reliance. It is planned to be released in 2023. Maggie is a graduate of Colorado College. You can visit her website at www.thegreatnowwhat.com. Maggie is part of a team, social media at Sticky Fingers Cooking, a mobile and online cooking school for kids ages 3 through 18. Virtual classes everywhere and in-person classes and campuses in Denver, Chicago, and Austin, founded in 2008. You may visit her website at www.stickyfingerscooking.com.
Well, the person you're about to meet today's show responded with being amazing. An independent filmmaker producing a film to help people with brain injury uses her art to inspire and give hope to brain injury people. So let me bring Maggie Whitnam right now. Hello, Maggie.
Hi, Aaron. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you are. Thank you for being here. I'm so happy you're here. You know, you're the epitome of why some people just take their injury instead of curling up into a ball and basically wait to die. You've taken your injury, your brain injury, and catapulted it to a whole different level. But first, introduce yourself, Maggie. Who are you? And tell me a little about yourself.
Well, my name is Maggie Whittum, and I live in Denver, Colorado. And I had a massive brainstem stroke when I was 33 years old.
33.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you also had what's similar to an EVM, did you?
Yes, it's called a cavernous angioma, and it's a blood vessel malformation. 1 in 500 people has a cavernoma in their brain, but of those, only 30% will be symptomatic in your lifetime. So you can have a cavernoma your whole life and never know it. And sometimes they hemorrhage, and they can cause little problems like tingling in your fingers. They can cause bigger problems like seizures, and then they can cause huge problems like strokes.
Like
And
yours. Like yours.
yeah, I didn't know I had a cavernous angioma in my brain until I was having this massive brain hemorrhage.
My goodness. So do me a favor. Tell me what your life was like before this brain injury.
So I was 33 years old, and I was very fit and very healthy, and had never spent a day in the hospital since I was born, basically. And I was in graduate school in Washington, D.C. at George Washington University, and I was engaged, and I was really living my best life and thinking I had it all figured out in terms of what my life plan would be, that I would, go to school, get my degree, have my career, marry this person, have some kids, I have a family. And I thought I got it all figured out.
Wow.
And then the first Sunday into into winter break from my graduate program, I just finished my first semester, and it was a Sunday morning, and I got a really bad headache, and I thought I was just dehydrated, or that maybe I had the flu, and I was kicking myself for not getting a flu shot. And I just didn't feel good the rest of the day. And then the next day, I still didn't feel good. And I had this moment where I didn't have my balance, but it was like there and gone instantly. And I thought, well, wow, that's strange. But I didn't connect the two things in my mind. And then by that evening, I still wasn't feeling good. And I thought, oh, I just need to get some rest. I need to sleep because I've been burning the candle at both ends, and I've been working so hard in my graduate program, and I'll just get some sleep and I'll feel better. And then I went to bed super early, and I got up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom, and then I had another moment that just came and went instantly where I thought I was going to fall down. And I was like, oh my God, if I'm not feeling better by the morning, I need to see a doctor probably. And so I get up in the morning and I'm not feeling better, and I have another moment of imbalance, and I had just been approved for DC Medicaid, which is very lucky. And I called them and got a list of doctors I could see. And I called the doctor's office, and they said, we can see you in 2 months. And I said, I think I need to see someone today. And they said, you go to the ER. And so I walked to the George Washington Hospital ER, which was only 2.5 blocks from my apartment. And on my way there, I'm limping, like I'm not walking right. And I'm thinking, what the heck is going on? And I'm really lucky in retrospect that I didn't fall down on the way there, because I walked into the hospital, and at like 11 o'clock in the morning, and by 11 o'clock that night, I couldn't walk anymore. And so the hemorrhage, it took them a long time to diagnose me. I was very fit. I didn't have high blood pressure. I didn't have, any indicators that I would have a stroke. I didn't smoke. I didn't drink in excess. Like, I was not overweight. Like, it was very perplexing to them what could be going on with me. And so, and so they give me different tests. And then finally by 6 p.m. that night, they got me a CAT scan. And then the CAT scan indicated that I had some bleeding in my brainstem. And they said, we need to admit you. Just don't worry about it. We just want to monitor you overnight. We're not going to put a bunch of tubes in you. And I'm like, holy cow. Okay. But I was just, kind of losing my function over the course of that day. Like, I started that day being able to walk, and I ended that day not being able to walk. And then it just got worse. And so by 48 hours after I checked myself into the hospital, I was on life support, and I was on a ventilator and had a catheter, and I was totally paralyzed on the left side of my body and the right side of my face. And it was terrifying.
Yeah, no kidding.
And I had to have brain surgery. So, like, it's hard with a cavernoma. Well, with brain surgery is like the last resort. It's really dangerous. It's very risky. And so the policy oftentimes with these cavernomas is to just wait and see. And maybe it will resolve, and maybe you'll have some deficits, but brain surgery is the last resort because it is so dangerous. But I had gotten to a point where I was, this hemorrhage was so bad that I was very close to being dead. And so brain surgery was like what had to happen. And so I was transferred to Johns Hopkins Hospital, and that's where I had my brain surgery. And it was really lucky that I could go there because they have incredible neurosurgeons. And that's where I got my brain surgery on January 2nd, 2015.
Oh, my goodness.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
What?
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, right?
Really, that's so true. So basically what was happening, what we don't know at this point in your story, but you actually were hemorrhaging, your malformation was hemorrhaging. It was bleeding into your brain. Mm-hmm. But we didn't just, you didn't just stop one craniotomy. You had two more.
No, I just had one.
Just one.
Yeah. Yeah.
You people that go through craniotomies, I've dealt with stroke survivors for about over 7 years now. To me, that'd be one of the most scariest things a human being could go through. I mean, I had surgery, a minor surgery, outpatient surgery, but popping your lid off, I call it popping your lid, open the top of your skull open, then dive into your brain. Come on, Maggie.
Yeah, it's so disorienting to have a brain hemorrhage and then to say, oh, here's a picture, here's an MRI picture of your brain. And it's like, this picture is supposed to explain the fact that I'm like in the middle of a massive tsunami and like everything is disorienting and terrifying. And I feel totally unmoored from every aspect of my life. And yeah, it's really hard to wrap your mind around it. And it takes years to really understand what has happened. And
well, at the time, it has to seem almost very similar to mine, but yours are like on the Richter scale of trauma. But it has to seem surreal, like this can't really be happening to me.
Sorry?
You said it has to be a point where you just go, this is just surreal.
This
just seems just too chronic to be happening to me. You're young.
Yeah. And like you think that you have control over your life.
Right.
Right? That you and to a certain extent you do. You know, you can tell your body where to go, and you can go to work, and you can go to school, and you can be with your family and have your relationships and stuff, and navigate your way through that. And so you do kind of have control, but all of that control can vanish very quickly. And when it does, it's a nightmare.
Well, your response was typical out there, which is you brush it off. You start having all these symptoms. You begin to walk funny. If you ever talking, you begin to talk funny, I'm sure. But you begin to have all these symptoms, headaches, and then you brush them off and say, well, it must be anything bad.
Well, yeah, and with ischemic strokes, it's super important to get to the hospital as soon as possible. Like if you're having any of those symptoms, time is brain, and you need to get to the hospital and get medical attention as soon as you possibly can. With a hemorrhagic stroke, which is the kind of stroke that I was having, you know, there's not a whole lot you can do until you get brain surgery. But I think that I initially was like, oh, if I just, you know, get some rest, or maybe I have the flu or whatever, you know, and it turns out it's this other enormous thing.
That is so typical. I mean, I did the same thing. I had warning signs months before my hemorrhage. And I had a brain aneurysm. I began to have the headaches that were so extreme. I brushed them off thinking, okay, well, I'm just having a migraine.
Oh, sorry, can we pause a sec? I just saw at the bottom.
Yeah, go ahead.
My email is in the ticker thing.
Yeah, please.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I didn't want my personal email on there.
Oh, yeah, let's get down. I won't be able to take the first part about, but I'll edit it right now. What do you want? What email can I put in there?
You could put the Great Now What email. Sorry, I didn't understand.
Don't worry about it.
What you needed. But you could put the Great Now What email, which is the Great Now What @gmail.com.
Okay. Now what? @gmail.com. I take a look at this. Yeah, that's a cool thing about recording a podcast. We can make changes on file like that, so don't worry about it. But I will tell you, I won't be able to get rid of it the first part that we're going to keep recording. But from this point on, it will be the right one.
Okay, sorry, I didn't notice that before. My vision is very bad.
It's not even worthy of an apology. All right, there it is. All right, now I'll show it. Take a look. Verify it's right now. Verify that's right.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that's good.
All right.
Thank you.
So, ready? We'll take it in 3, 2, 1. Now, Maggie, you were saying that you were walking, here you are, which amazes me, what you told me. You walked 2 blocks, hemorrhaging in your brain. You walked 2 blocks, began to walk funny. But how did you, part of it's we're not made aware that strokes can happen in our young age. So you began to brush it off. You began
Well,
to,
yeah, I
yeah.
didn't think I could have a stroke, but you can actually have a stroke at any age. Even infants in the womb can have strokes. So it's good to know what the signs are, and it's good to know that it can happen at any age to anyone at any time. You can be super healthy and fit, not smoke, not be overweight, not drink to excess, and it can happen.
Yeah, I've had numerous people like triathletes and joggers, fitness buffs, they've had strokes. So if making them wants to encourage you, audience, be aware, don't brush off the severe headaches, the dizziness, the tingling in your left side of your body, the weakness in your one side of your arm. Don't, there are signs. Don't just brush it off. Get yourself, don't walk yourself to the hospital like Maggie did. Get your dial 911.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I had no warning signs. It was totally out of the blue for me, but
Oh my God.
I hope that if I had had something 2 months before or something, I would have paid attention to my body and done the right thing. But in my case, it was very much out of the blue. But definitely when something starts going wrong in your body, you gotta do something about it.
Yeah, I'm gonna say most people I interview before they have during their stroke, when their leg drops off or their arm drops or whatever, drooping the face, they have all the signs. They brushed off. I just don't. It's just because there's not enough raising stroke awareness, and that's what you and I are doing right now. We're raising stroke awareness.
Mm-hmm.
You know, don't, like Maggie says, don't ignore the signs. So let's continue on. You walk into hospital, ER. I think we got into your brain craniotomy. They're gonna do craniotomy, and then that's where we left off. Tell me about what happened after that.
So after my brain surgery, I was in acute care for another 10 days. And then I was transferred to MedStar National Rehabilitation Hospital in Washington, D.C., and I was there for 5 weeks. And I did an hour of physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech language pathology every day. And they're amazing. They're really amazing people. And yeah, but 5 weeks, and then I was discharged back to home, and it's kind of shocking to go home.
When you were when we were talking the agreement earlier, because I think I forgot to mention it's only a 30-minute podcast, but we'll go over it detail because I'm fascinated with your story. But you mentioned you're a filmmaker before, right?
Well, I was definitely involved heavily in the arts before, but I had not done much filmmaking. I'd been an actor mostly, and so I've been an actor in a couple of short films and commercials, and I produced and directed a lot of live theater and improv comedy. And so, but at about a year and a half into my recovery, I watched a film called The Crash Reel, spelled REEL, which is about a young man who is an incredible snowboarder, and he is very talented, and everybody thinks he's going to go to the Vancouver Olympics in 2010 and win all the gold medals. His name is Kevin Pierce, and he has this like ascendant trajectory in his life. And 7 weeks before the Vancouver Olympics, he has a massive traumatic brain injury. And the film is about, his time before his brain injury and then the next 2 years after the brain injury. And it's very, very moving and beautiful film. It's a beautiful film. And I watched that film in 2016, and I just had this realization that I wanted to make a film of my own about stroke and stroke recovery. And that was the inspiration for me, was that movie.
Wow. And let's make a mention of that movie again in honor of that guy. What is the name of his film that they can look up the trailer on YouTube?
It's called The Crash Reel.
And Reel spelled
R-E-E-L. And there's a whole section of the movie about extreme sports and what we ask of these athletes, you know, when they make the jumps higher and higher, and the sport's a little more dangerous because it's good television. And then these athletes get injured. And part of the film is Kevin talking with some other athletes with brain injuries who had been like skateboarders or snowmobilers and things like that. And,
wow.
and extreme skiers and snowboarders. And
well, maybe you can get a hold of it. I'd love to have Mom's show on my podcast.
Yeah.
Because I welcome stroke and TBI both.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're so similar.
So yeah, but I understand you weren't you were out there, but you were not. Excuse me, I was swallow deficit. But you were not into filmmaking. But then you're producing a film a year and a half into. You see this film, get inspired to make your own film. Tell me a little bit about what you're doing that's going on there.
So my film is called The Great Now What? And it's like, now what? I've had this brain injury, this stroke that's completely changed my life and everything that I thought my life was. And now what do I do? And so the film is about my life following the stroke. And I also speak with some other women who have acquired disabilities in their lives, and other women who've been disabled from birth, and talking about the disability experience. And it's about stroke, disability, chronic pain, and the healing power of art.
Yeah, and so first of all, when did you anticipate your film to be completed?
I would say it's probably will be finished maybe in 2023, but maybe 2024. It's hard to say exactly, but it's in process.
I know, it's amazing, and I know TV is going to support you by putting on a couple of streaming platforms, C-suite network streaming platform, get your film put on a wonderful television platform. And because man, there's some, like I said, some people curl up and wait to die. You put a period at the end of their trauma, and they stop living. But I, and others all found a purpose in the trauma.
Mm-hmm.
The purpose became you can't raise stroke awareness more than we are right now, in my opinion. I mean, we're taking what's happened to us and saying you need to be aware of this world. This occurs at any stroke occur. You were how old, Maggie? Who would you say?
33.
33 years old. I was 47. I met 20-year-olds, teens, prenatals. I met them, obviously. But stroke could occur during the age. So we want to pause and tell you people watching this, or listening to this podcast, don't ignore the signs, the warning signs, the facial pain, arm weakness, speech deterioration, slurred speech, which I have, which is dysarthria, which is left over from my stroke. And don't forget, time is brain. You will lose the more time. Maggie, walk in the hospital. I guarantee you, it's not very recommended. You don't want to walk. You don't want to do. You want to do nothing but dial 911. So as you show the signs of stroke, call 911. Either you or you see someone else. Just plain call 911. But so anyway, Maggie, you're taking this to a level and producing your own film. You're the producer. You told me earlier in the green room you're producing that film, correct?
Yes.
You know, I want to say thank you for doing that, because the thing the world is lacking is awareness. And films like this and what we're doing right here raises awareness.
Yeah.
Because so many people, I mean, stroke is so common in the United States. Someone has stroke every 40 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
You know, why we don't teach our children in school about stroke is beyond me.
Mm-hmm.
But now you went to hospital. Now you're integrating beyond me. Now tell me a little about your therapy journey. Was that difficult for you?
Well, I'm a very hard worker, and so I was ready to tackle my recovery with a lot of determination. And I think I just didn't know a lot about stroke or brain injury recovery, and I thought I could get 100% better. And so I worked my butt off trying to get 100% better, and I did all the therapy in my sessions, and then I was working like 6 hours a day on my own, and it was a lot. It was a lot. That first year, you're going all the time. Once you're out of the rehab hospital, I was going to PT and OT 3 times a week each. And, then it becomes 2 times a week, and then 1 time a week. And then maybe after the first 2 years, it becomes like once a week or once every 2 weeks, once a month. And then, you got to keep working on your own for sure.
I'm not a big proponent of the word recovery, stroke recovery, because I think it's more like stroke rebuilding. I believe that you, I, and other stroke recovery, we're not going to recover from stroke or about the cold or flu or broken leg even. We're going to have to rebuild our lives from the ground up. And I don't think people totally understand that people who have a stroke have to rebuild their lives from the ground up.
Yep, that's very true.
Yeah, and that really is. So Maggie, we're coming down to the latter part of the show, but what lessons would you say you learned in this journey you've been on?
I think that perseverance is very important, and that you should be kind to yourself in your own head. It's very easy to be very cruel to yourself in your own head and say mean things to yourself about why you're not recovering. And that's really not useful. And you should speak to yourself like you would speak to a good friend.
Wow, that was powerful. I was a golden nugget, people. You need to hear that, because I think every stroke survivor, every traumatic brain injury survivor has that self-negative talk. Mm-hmm. When you get down there, so I do the same thing. I've used that, and that resonated with me to my core, because we beat ourselves up because we're out the way we are. And so I appreciate that. I really, really appreciate that. Take Maggie's advice. Don't beat yourself up. Be kind to yourself.
Yeah.
Maggie, I want to thank you so much for being on the show. I really do. And I really wanted to say if there's anything that Stroke TV could do for you, or your movement, or your efforts, please let us know. We're here for you.
Okay, great. Yeah, I just want to get the word out to stroke survivors that this movie is coming. So check out the website at www.thegreatnowwhat.com. And you can also follow us on social media at @TheGreatNowWhat on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
And I'm pretty sure you have an awesome cello. I want to extend, I don't care for overtime, but listen, I want to hit your art because I found your artwork so inspiring.
Thank you.
Now, you not only did a film, doing a film currently, but you're using art to express and raise awareness. Please tell me about the inspiration for what you're doing with your art.
Sure. Do you want me to get them? The Barbie dolls?
Sure, yeah, absolutely, sure.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, you guys you're in for a treat.
All right, so I'll just be leaving for 1 sec.
Right. So what Maggie does, she does art that represents how she feels as a survivor. So when she uses Barbie dolls and modifies the Barbie dolls to express how she feels. And you're about to see her art in real life, real time, exclusive here on Stroke TV, on the Stroke of Genius podcast. You're about to see Maggie Windham art. And it's really art. It's expressing how she feels as a survivor. And I'm really open. I've seen a couple of our pieces on the Barbie dolls. The clay, she wraps the gray clay around the one side of the body of the Barbie doll, expressing how it feels to be paralyzed, immobile on one side. Feels like concrete. And she wraps the rubber band like, look at this, here she comes. Drum roll, please. Now, you will only be able to see this on the video. This podcast will also be on the video so you can see our work on CC Network and Wonderful Television.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, you won't be able to see it on the podcast, but...
No, I'm trying to tell the audience they can go to our CC Network and Wonderful Television to see it.
Well,
just explain what you're showing us.
Yeah. So as an actor, I used to have this picture of myself called a headshot, which is a really beautiful picture of my face. And so I had these pictures that I couldn't use anymore, and they made me very sad. And so I would take them and I would destroy them and reassemble them in different ways. So like this one is, hold it here. This one is like my face, but it's like burned and
oh my goodness.
You know, it shows like a lot of layers there. And so I did various pieces like that with my face, with pictures of my face. And then I also did some stuff with Barbie dolls because, you know, this is like psychologically, spiritually, what the headshot stuff is psychologically, spiritually what's going on when you feel like you're a shattered person. And so I've taken them and like cut them up in different ways and burned them and ripped them and glued them back together in different ways. And then I wanted to communicate to my medical team and my friends and family what my body felt like, because it was so different. My body was so changed. Even though it looked basically the same, it felt and behaved totally differently. And so like, this is a Barbie doll that I did of like what it feels like to be paralyzed. So
oh my goodness.
this Barbie doll is, a Barbie doll out on a 2x4 piece of wood, and it's got about 50 nails in the left side of the body, nailing it to the piece of wood.
That is so powerful, Maggie.
Thank you. Thank you. And like that was like what it felt like to be paralyzed. And then I have this other one here. After a stroke, after a stroke, you have this heavy, heavy, heavy feeling in one side of your body, and you have no proprioception, which is knowledge of where your limbs are in space. And so this Barbie is the concrete Barbie.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It has gray clay that is all the way around the left side of the body, because it feels like half your body is just encased in this very heavy, 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 heavy concrete, and you can't move the way you used to, and it's very distressing. So this is concrete Barbie.
Wow, that you're speaking me emotionally. You're expressing through your art how I feel.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like crying is so powerful.
Thank you. Yeah, it's, the art is powerful. And I feel that something like these Barbie dolls or these headshots can communicate to people in a really powerful way, in the way that words can't sometimes. Like the reason I started making these is because I just felt like I was explaining to people over and over again my body and my mind, and they weren't quite getting it. And these images are just like, they cut through that very quickly.
Yep. Like I said, I'm fan by tears because they resonate the core I feel. Sorry, I'm getting a little emotional, people. No, but if you're listening to this podcast, I will put links. I don't know. Do you have these photographed? Do you have your art photographed?
Yes.
They're not. I think the video, if I remember correct, the promo for your film, it shows you making the concrete Barbie, but it's not complete. But if you have the photos, I'll definitely do a montage, and we'll do something together and put them all so we get that word out. That is so gripping. I cannot express to people listening to the podcast. I encourage you to go to the streaming services, CC Television and Wonderful Television, and look at this art. I mean, it's bringing emotions in me that I've never had before. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah, on the website for the film, thegreatnowwhat.com, there's a teaser video. So it's 2 minutes, and it'll show, it's about what the documentary will eventually become. And I've heard so many stroke survivors and brain injury survivors say that it really moved them.
Well, I think I'm gonna cry like a baby when we're done with the podcast, but because it is so moving, and the tools you use in your art to express how I feel. The nails in the Barbie is exactly how I feel. The concrete, exactly how I feel. Like I said, I probably should change the subject, so I'll sit there and cry if I But Meg, what an honor it's been to have you on my show. I really, really appreciate it. And like I said, use Stroke TV any way that we can be. I'm here for you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I don't have an answer for that.
All right. My life's a lot of I could do her. Don't know what the But thank you again, Maggie. I appreciate being here. Thank you. Hopefully, would you come on again, maybe share more of your story?
Yes, absolutely.
All right, thank you. Appreciate that. So, thank you for being here.
Fire.